to Chatsworth, California, West Valley League football, El Camino Real football. It is a gorgeous night as we come inside of Smith Field on the campus of Chatsworth High School. Hello, everybody. I'm Randy Rosenblum, set to call the play-by-play for Chatsworth and El Camino, two football teams that are going in different directions. El Camino's won 3 in a row, all 3 on the road, and they're 1-0 in the West Valley after winning at Cleveland a week ago. As for the host Chancellors, well, they've had some tough times recently. They've lost 3 in a row after winning a couple games early in the season, and overall they're 2-4. Once again, we work with Paul Zabalik. You know, Paul, on paper you would think this is going to be a big win for El Camino, and maybe it will be. But all you have to do is look back to last year, and Chatsworth won at El Camino 33-30.
You know, and again, what happens is that Chatsworth has a lot to prove right now. They're coming off 3 losses. They're looking at a way to recover, and what a better way to do it than against a team that they beat last year and trying to replicate that performance.
You know, we want to talk about some defensive guys because obviously there was a lot of offense a year ago. So let's start with El Camino's number 50, Vladimir Derbeshian. I know you love him.
I do, and he is a talented player. In my opinion, he definitely is the stalwart defensive lineman. Everybody revolves around Derbeshian. When he has a good game, their defense has a great game. And we look forward to him doing great things tonight.
Here on homecoming, they all talk about one guy, Ramel Lopez, the middle linebacker. They say he's phenomenal all over the football field, number 27.
He is a talented middle linebacker, covers sideline to sideline. He is the one that they're going to expect big plays from tonight. And you're going to see a rushing game with El Camino, and my guess is that he's going to be right in the middle of it.
Do you expect the kind of score we saw last year, 63 points on the board?
I expect there to be a high-scoring game. It just depends on how that defense plays.
Chatsworth wants to win because it's homecoming for the Chancellors. ECR wants to win. They want to keep the momentum going, and they want revenge for last year. We'll come back for the kickoff for the Royals and the Chancellors. That's next on LA36. See the captains coming out to the midfield area for the coin flip. And again, it is homecoming here, so there is a large contingent of fans for Chatsworth. Chatsworth in the orange and black, the blue and white, certainly of El Camino, and you all know that as you've been watching Royal football for the last couple of years. There is one big body that's not going to play tonight for El Camino, and this could make a huge difference in the ball game. Jaden Williams, who's been unblockable the last couple of weeks for El Camino, out. We've been told concussion protocol, and without Williams, that may tilt the field a little bit toward Chatsworth.
That's going to be a real loss tonight for El Camino. They're going to have to replace him, and Derbeshian will have to carry most of the load because of that.
It's a great moment for these kids from Chatsworth on homecoming. They're really excited about the homecoming here. You know, we came in here a couple hours prior to the game, and it was hard to find parking. There's Michael Good, our lead official. He's a veteran official in the LAUSD. And it looks like maybe Chatsworth won the coin toss.
Chatsworth won the toss, and they're going to defer to the second half.
So El Camino's going to get the ball first. That means we're going to see their junior quarterback, Javen Hall, who was so outstanding the last couple weeks for the Royals.
Javen Hall can do everything on the field for El Camino. He has the ability to find open receivers. He has the ability to scramble. And once he gets in the open field, he's going to be going for a touchdown.
One numerical change. Devin Howard's not wearing number 1 tonight for El Camino Real, and he had 3 touchdowns a week ago. He's going to wear number 6. There's our weather. Just a delightful night. And normally it's windy in Chatsworth. Not a zephyr of a breeze tonight. 78 and calm. It won't be calm once the game starts, but the weather is very calm, and very soothing this evening in Chatsworth. Vincent Serrano, senior cornerback on that specialty unit, getting fired up for ECR. DJ Harris, number 20, he just exchanged fives with. DJ Harris had 6 tackles a week ago out of the secondary Cleveland to lead El Camino Real in stops. So we're about ready to begin. Chancellors will kick off. El Camino gets it first. Ramirez advancing on the ball, and this one begins. Marcel Ramirez. That one will go out of bounds. It'll be fine field position for the Royals.
That's part of what happened in several of their other games. They kicked the ball out of bounds and gave great field position to the teams they played, especially against Granada Hills. They kicked it out of bounds several times.
And Granada Hills had great success running the football against this Chatsworth squad.
They did, and that's what I expect El Camino to do tonight.
Again, Devin Howard just switched uniform numbers. He's wearing number 6 tonight, the running back. They're the key players. Fouls, number 13, has been coming on like gangbusters, and Jaden Williams has been ruled out of the game because of the concussion protocol. El Camino has it first. The Royals 3-3. They lost their first 3 on the road and have won their next 3. Hall likes to operate out of the shotgun. Fly sweep. Tovin. Sam Tovin. That one had Chatsworth off balance.
As I expected, they're going to start running the ball right out of the gate, and the next couple of plays should be off tackle. Chatsworth has been vulnerable off tackle for the run.
But misdirection early. That was pretty with Tovin coming around.
Yep, Tovin is very versatile, and he has the ability to break off open field runs.
Ball to the 45-yard line of ECR. Elko's first possession. Hall looking to throw it. Has Shirley. He doesn't go very far, does he? Terrific defense by Garcia.
Yeah, they read that really well. They saw that Shirley would be open if he just did the hitch route, and that's exactly what they did.
Garcia is a senior cornerback. Fundamentally very sound, and we saw that as he made that stop. Marcus Garcia. Jake Shirley's been available. He's a very good-looking tight end. He did get shaken up in the game at Narbonne, so he's been dinged up the last couple of weeks, but he's coming back to almost 100%.
He is, and he'll be open tonight. You'll be able to see that underneath.
Second down and about 8. Just the beginning of the football game. Hall got his target. And reeling it in is Serrano. About a yard shy of the necessary yardage. There's Vincent Serrano. We talked about him on the specialty unit, and he reeled that one in.
And you're looking at how the offensive line was able to protect him and be able to get the ball out there for Javen Hall.
First 2 minutes of action, and El Camino moving the football. 3rd down and 1. From the eye, and the deep pitch. Howard has first down yardage. Ayala made the stop. Edward Ayala. Again, Devin Howard, 3 touchdowns a week ago in Reseda against Cleveland High School.
And he's got 7 on the year. Very versatile athlete.
That was that pitch power play that you like so much.
It is. It's whenever it's short yardage, you can almost can guarantee that El Camino is going to run the pitch.
First down, 40-yard line. Hall rolling. He had Armida available. Throw is a little too high.
I'm surprised that Elko is throwing the ball so early in the game. It was based on film. I thought they would be running the ball almost 70% of the time. But Coach Hayashida, the offensive coordinator, has his own game plan.
Well, in Coach Hayashida's defense, the play was diagrammed well, and Armida was available. It was just an overthrow. So they had Chatsworth off balance. But it's 2nd down and 10. Chatsworth is 2-4, 0-1 in the West Valley League. El Camino Real 3-3 and 1-0 in league play. The win at Cleveland. Chatsworth lost to Granada Hills. Here's Howard in space. Devin Howard finally bumped out of bounds. Ramo bumped it out of bounds, but another first down for ECR.
They want to get Howard in space. They want him one-on-one with a corner and let him be the athlete. Just let him take off.
Devin Howard's hard to bring down.
You got to wrap him up. You got to put your body on him and not just arm tackle.
They've possessed the ball for better than 3 minutes, the Royals. Armida right up the middle. And he's a downhill guy.
He likes to just put his head down and pull forward and just drive people ahead.
And this is what El Camino might be about tonight, smash mouth football.
I predicted that, and I think that we're still going to see a lot more of that. I think Coach Hayashida is now going to recognize that they're very vulnerable to the run-off tackle.
But it does give you that opportunity to go play action.
And again, that's what opens up play action, is when you've been able to gain ground running straight ahead with your power fullback. It gives you that opportunity to play action and throw deep.
Chatsworth's wins have been over Verdugo Hills 49-7 and Reseda 47-0. So they've had some games where they have flourished. Hall scrambling and running.
He had Devin Howard open for about 5 seconds, but he didn't see him. And he tried to tuck it and run, and he was just held to about a yard.
Yeah, he ran to the middle of the field where Michael Jackson wrapped him up. Number 44. Senior, very quick. Coach says he's a violent hitter. You're going to meet their coach, Marvin Street, at halftime. He and Jason Zabalik of El Camino Real will have a very nice conversation.
Full snap, false start, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Those are the kind of mistakes that could neutralize the Elko offense.
We've talked about that every week. They start a drive, and then the drive killer is a penalty.
By the way, this lead official, Michael Good, is a veteran in the LA City section and one of the better officials in the area. And I asked him about last week's call where the punt returned by Tovin, the holding. And they brought it back, and it was 1st and 20. And Michael said, officials made a mistake.
Yeah,
that's what we thought. Hall over the middle. Fouls, touchdown. Fouls got wide open.
You saw that middle of the field, as we talked about earlier. If they could get it underneath, there's nobody else there.
Drayden fouls. That
Number
call,
1.
apparently that call's coming
5-yard
back.
penalty on the try.
On the try, okay. So the touchdown will stand. So it remains 6-0. For a moment, I thought they were going to wave the touchdown off, but
I didn't see any holding call anywhere, but
well, Asa Johnson's a good kicker. He'll be tested a little bit here with the yardage being stepped off.
He's got the toe in the distance if it's not blocked. That's the only concern, special teams.
He's got a new holder, too, because Cortez, his holder from earlier in the year, has been injured. So it's a little bit different for him. But he gets plenty of leg into this one, and it's good. So it's 7-0 El Camino Real. Beautiful drive.
It was a drive that was almost killed again by penalties, but they were able to recover, and they were able to put it into the end zone. Great play. Now look again, Fowles is wide open. There's not a body around him.
See him reach out at the end, knowing that he was getting into the area where it was going to be pay dirt. Were you surprised Chatsworth deferred and let El Camino get the ball first with the high-powered offense?
Well, that has been the standard. Normally, if you win the toss, you defer. It seems to be part of the script today. But Coach Street thought that he could obviously gain the momentum and then come back out and get the ball.
Well, Johnson will tee it up and kick off. So an early 7-0 lead for El Camino Real. Better than a 5-minute drive for the TD.
Johnson should put it in the end zone. Again, he's got the leg to do it.
Well, you said on our pregame show we'll have a lot of points, and perhaps we will. This one is being brought back beautifully. Ramo. Isaiah Ramo. They fumbled at the end of the return, and Joseph Edwards recovers. So everything we thought would happen there did. You thought he'd kick it through the end zone. It was returned back. Ramo fumbled it after it looked like he might return it all the way, and El Camino recovered.
He just dropped the ball. He was running and dropped the ball. There was no hit.
Ramo is their feature running back. That's a great strip by El Camino's Derek Sarpong. What a job he did.
He did strip it. He knocked it out of his hands. It looked like on the original that he just dropped it.
That's got to be deflating for Chatsworth. Oh, by the way, Chatsworth returned 2 touchdowns last year.
By the same person.
Yeah, Ong. Stephen Ong. Well, the offense back out there. They'll have a long field.
I'm not sure why Johnson didn't kick it into the end zone. When you have that weapon, you just got to set the other team deep. And I'm surprised that the special teams coach didn't put it in the end zone.
El Camino.
Especially when you think back to a year ago in the 33-30 victory by Chatsworth, that they returned 2 of them back for touchdowns. So you would think you'd want to take that component of the game away from the Chancellors.
It's special teams is 1/3 of a football game, and many coaches don't spend enough time on that specific activity, and it's encouraged all the time to teach them how to deal with special teams.
Well, Derek Sarpong, 82, made an incredible play, stripping that ball from behind and not giving up on the play.
He kept going. I mean, he did not give up. He was going to tackle and make the play no matter what.
Well, El Camino does not have advantageous field position here, so we'll see if they can move it like they did the first time they had possession when they went right down the field. 1st and 10. Ball at the 12-yard line.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 71 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Gonzalez, the offensive tackle, with the false start.
He may be replacing Williams, and he's just new in the role.
Well, if you're Chatsworth, you're thinking, let's get a stop here and flip field position. Delay. Operating room for Howard. Devon is battling.
Again, a little misdirection. You saw Howard go one way and Armida go the other way.
Nathan Vargas, sophomore, made the stop on Howard. Well, Elko is certainly featuring Devin Howard in this first quarter. The senior, whose brother Donovan is an outstanding defensive back for the Royals. Second down. Stay on the ground. Unquestionably, the game plan is Armida gets a few, is to run the football, try to move that front out of there, and eat up the clock and try to control the game.
Again, he's gone off tackle. That's the game plan that I would expect them to do. And they'll get 5 yards every attempt.
And it's a first down.
With a penalty, that just makes it even more difficult.
Well, they gave him forward progress for the first down. That's a good job of running the football. It really is. It was 1st and 15, and in 2 rushes they picked it up. Inside of 5 minutes to play in the opening quarter. El Camino 7-0. A Hall touchdown pass to Fowles. Draydon Fowles, who's really coming on as a terrific all-purpose running back, sophomore. Hall has Shirley. Shirley doing a nice dance. He's down the sideline. Jake Shirley all the way to the 30-yard line of Chatsworth. There is a flag behind the play. It's going to wipe out a great play by Shirley.
My goodness.
Illegal block in the back. Number 6 offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Devin Howard, who is detected for the foul.
And you would expect a senior not to make those kinds of mistakes. Nullifying a great play. Frankly, that's a questionable call. His body was in front of the defender.
Wipes out the big play and really turns the field position around. Instead of being at the 30 of Chatsworth, El Camino's back inside their 20. Again, it's homecoming here. There's a large crowd of fans in attendance at Chatsworth. Hall protected well. Now it breaks down and he's going to have to run. Good effort by the Elko quarterback.
His receivers were covered and he had nobody open, and he waited a little too long to take off.
Didn't pick up a yard there. He got nothing for his effort, and it was a good effort indeed.
Chatsworth came to play tonight. They're not going to roll over and just lose. They're going to fight every play.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, this is the night they've been looking forward to. They were embarrassed a week ago by Granada Hills. They think they're a better football team than that. They're young. Marvin Street does a nice job with his group. And they like playing El Camino, and there's some confidence knowing they won last year in Woodland Hills.
He does have a young team. He's got, I believe he said, 6 sophomores starting.
Flags are out again.
Prior to the snap, encroachment, number 4, White.
That's Antonio Diaz, who's back. He's a senior. He's been out for a few weeks. He's returning for the first time tonight. They like him as a player. Don't like that penalty, but he's an outstanding talent.
The receiver checks with the sideline judge and confirms that he's lined up correctly. He was given the nod that he was, and now they called him for a penalty. If you'll notice, wide receivers, as soon as they line up, look to the line judge for confirmation that they're lined up correctly.
You know, you watch this El Camino team, and they have players with talent, and they break plays, but they damage themselves with these fouls.
They do, and that's one of the things we've talked about each week, is that they just can't do that if they're going to compete at a higher level. They've got to be able to sustain drives without mistakes. You notice how the receiver checked with the official.
Hall needs a big play. He's content to throw it deep. A near miss. He had Sanders available. That was a good throw.
Just right off the fingertips.
And they expected Jalen Sanders to have a breakout evening, and he nearly had a touchdown there. That was an eyelash away from an El Camino score.
It's what you hear typically, that he was ready to run before he caught the ball.
How about this throw?
Right on the money.
And by getting outside of containment, Hall gave himself a lot of time, and he just composed himself and fired a strike. 3rd and 15. 3.5 minutes left, opening quarter. It's been controlled by El Camino Real, and they lead 7-0. We haven't seen the Chatsworth offense yet. Another deep throw. Nobody home.
He just dumped that away, just got rid of it.
Daniel Adelson was the closest one for Chatsworth to the football, and punting unit will now deliver a kick for El Camino Real.
And we worry about the long snap. This is something that has plagued El Camino special teams all season this year and all season last year. They have not been able to make the adjustment.
Ramo is your punt returner. See what kind of kick we get from Asa Johnson. He needs a good one here. More movement up front.
Prior to the start, false start, offense.
I would
penalty,
think
still
Coach
down.
Sabalik would call a timeout and get his team settled down. They're making too many mistakes. They are just not focused, and he needs to rally them up and get them refocused and not make those mistakes.
4th accepted penalty of the opening quarter. Ramo fumbled it. It was muffed. That's a loose football. It looked like El Camino, and it is Elco football. So El Camino Real gets the recovery. Hernandez, Anthony Hernandez.
Well, we talked about special teams and the importance of special teams, and Chatsworth now has 2 mistakes on their special teams, the fumble and on the return, and then this drop ball.
And it was DJ Harris that recovered, not Hernandez. Harris, number 20 with the recovery. And Harris is one of those guys that's always around the football.
Good hustle coming downfield.
I don't remember a quarter quite like this, Paul. Chatsworth's offense has not been out there.
It's
the specialty units has coughed it up twice for Chatsworth. That's going to be so frustrating for the players on offense for the Chancellors.
well, there's a literal literature story about comedy of errors.
2 turnovers against Chatsworth in the opening quarter. Back to basics, running the football. And Chatsworth this time holds their ground. It's the first play that El Camino didn't control the line. Chatsworth got the better of it there.
Well, I don't know what Coach Hayashida's doing with his offense, but he needs to have quick hitting off tackle. It's taking too long to develop, and the offensive line isn't sustaining their blocks as they should.
Again, number 27, he's the player. He's Ramel Lopez. He's all over the football field for Chatsworth. 2nd down and 10.
False start, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
5th accepted penalty.
I don't understand this. I just don't understand it.
You seem frustrated.
As a coach, I would be pulling whatever hair left I had. This is a discipline question, and why these players are not focused. I would really slow them down and get them back up and rally them up a little bit. This is what gives coaches ulcers.
I'll tell you what it gives. It gives Chatsworth hope. Again, the one thing, the Royals are winning the turnover battle, and that's the reason they're in control of this first quarter. But 5 penalties against Elko. Hall. That's a good job of reading the defense and finds Sanders. Jalen Sanders with some nice moves into Chatsworth territory to the 47.
There were 3 missed tackles by Chatsworth at that moment. They should have held him to no gain, but he is able to break those arm tackles. You've got to put a body on him.
Pretty good dance, though, by Sanders. He showed some very nice moves.
There's 1 missed tackle, 2 missed tackles, 3 missed tackles. And then they finally get him.
Sanders, just a sophomore. He's a home run threat. Stretched the field. Probably the fastest receiver for El Camino Real.
El Camino needs to score on this drive to make up for those mistakes.
3rd down and 4. Final 45 seconds of the opening quarter. Here's that power pitch. 1st down yardage. And a lot more. That's good blocking up front, and Devin Howard followed the blocking for the 1st down.
That's what I was hoping El Camino would be doing immediately in the first series of downs. Chatsworth is vulnerable off tackle. This is a play that works almost every time for El Camino. They block it correctly. You've got the speed of Devin Howard, and you're able to get runners into the open field.
El Camino able to overcome penalties and gain the 1st down. Hall did not get loose. Michael Jackson with the sack. That's a setback of 5. And the end of the quarter. So after 1 on homecoming in Chatsworth, it's El Camino by 7-0.
There should be 21 points if El Camino did not make those mistakes and have 2 drives that would have scored along with the first drive. They're just not. If you look at it as a coach, they've got to be able to execute. And they're not doing that.
Some of the highlights from the first quarter, El Camino had a nice opening drive.
Again, that's what, Coach Hayashida opened up with a little misdirection, and Tovin was able to break it.
That got the drive jump-started. And they moved it around, and Devin Howard always makes people miss, and he's tough to bring down. And then the touchdown to Fowles stretches just enough to get it over the goal line, and a touchdown and a celebration. This was an interesting play, the return and then the strip and the turnover back to El Camino when it looked like Ramo was going to score.
He was wide open and he was accelerating, but then you just get caught from behind and you don't expect it and the ball drops out.
Sarpong with a wonderful strip. Again to Jake Shirley, and this has been a player that's been available. Unfortunately, this play was wiped out because of a penalty.
But again, if you look at that block, it was as legal as it can be, and they had a judgment call on it by the official.
Second turnover on the muff punt.
Each team making serious mistakes on special teams.
Sanders, who is going to be a primary target throughout the evening. We've been told that. The offensive coordinator, Rick Hayashida, and head coach Jason Zabalek told us that they want to feature number 11. Second down and long. The sticks are incorrect. It should be 2nd and 15. That's why we have a delay. They are really struggling on the other side. So they're still waiting for everything to be organized on that far sideline. Oh, it was the El Camino penalties, but what balanced that out was the turnovers of Chatsworth. And guess what? We still have not seen the Chatsworth offense. We're in the second quarter, and Chatsworth has not had its offense out there.
Well, again, they had their mistakes, which caused even bigger problems that turned the ball over to El Camino. And El Camino has not been able to capitalize. They need to do that here.
Now, here's an issue for Chatsworth. How long can a defense stay out there before it starts to wilt a little bit? I know it's a nice night. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. But still, you got that offense of El Camino pounding on you, and you're out there constantly. Hall flares this one out. Ermita has a first down. Lopez finally tracks him down. But a terrific play call by Elko.
And you'll notice how Armida just got into the open field, and he saw he was going to be tackled, and he put his head down, and he just surged for another 4 yards. He is not to be denied.
Simple play, but it worked beautifully. And you see 27 run across the field to make the play. You mentioned it. He's sideline to sideline.
Sideline to sideline. Yep.
Well, an opportunity for Elko. Trying to build on a 7-0 lead in the first 30 seconds of the second quarter.
Chatsworth has been vulnerable to the off tackle and to the flat.
El Camino football on LA36. Hall running. Gaping hole. First down yardage for Javen Hall.
The 12th man, his feet bring another dimension to that offense. But here he took off quicker than he has over the last couple series. He saw it and he just started running. He didn't wait to try to find an open receiver.
How about he put his head down at the end of the run and took on Ricardo Rodriguez?
He's going to get an extra yard by doing that.
You want your quarterback doing that, though?
You want your best athlete performing.
Ball just outside the 10. Fowles up the middle. Fowles has 2 touchdowns in the game. Well, last week it was Howard. Tonight it's Fowles.
again, Chatsworth vulnerable off tackle.
Well, we might see the Chatsworth offense finally, provided something loony doesn't happen on the kickoff.
Johnson's got to put it in the end zone. That is a given. Why he doesn't is inexplicable to me.
Well, Ace has got to first make the point after, which he did the last time he was out there to do this. Low snap. This is not a given, but he got it back up and good. 14-0.
There is no givens in the kicking game.
Especially at the high school level.
In a routine. Again, here you see fouls. Just following it off tackle. Line pulled, and he's in there.
And I go back to my point, Paul. How long can a defense stay out on the field?
Well, you also have to know that many of those players are going both ways for Chatsworth as well, and they're young, and they're learning, and they're developing. And, yeah, it will take its toll. By the fourth quarter, they'll know they've been in a football game.
Royals by 14-0. They were a 21-point favorite. The computer picked El Camino Real 35-14 in this one. I know you never look at that stuff, do you?
I don't. I'm not a betting man.
Well, we didn't say you have to bet on it. They're just giving you a score.
Sounds like odds to me.
And now Asa Johnson will kick off, and let's see if he can kick it into the end zone, get that touchback. Better leg on this one, and it's in the end zone.
That is a weapon that you cannot stop. You need to do that every time you kick off.
Jason Zabalik, the head coach of El Camino Real, will have our Jason Zabalik halftime show with he and Marvin Street, the two coaches having a wonderful chat. And it's more than football. It's all about life in that interview. And also a surprise announcement of what's going to happen in the future, the last few games of the regular season, where El Camino may play some of its games. We'll hear from the athletic director at El Camino about that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be surprising to know where they're going to play since their field isn't available.
How about we're finally introducing the key players on offense? There they are. Key players for Chatsworth. Anot is the quarterback. Anot with the ball. And he can run. He gets hit. He was tagged. And he was tagged hard by Aiden Mefford.
El Camino has shown vulnerability into the flat as well in the contain. They weren't able to contain Cleveland last week, and now Chatsworth may see that and take advantage of these outside off-tackle plays.
Jordan took quite a wallop here, didn't he?
He was welcome.
Pickup of 5, 2nd and 5. 10 minutes left in the first half, and again, this is Chatsworth's first offensive try.
Let's see if Elko misses Jaden Williams.
Isaiah Ramo is the featured running back. And that's a loss of yardage. Edwards, 34, sifting in to make the stop.
Along with our friend Darbeshian.
Flag is out. Michael Good's been busy early.
5-yard face mask defense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
It's not automatic at the prep level. Not an automatic first down. But that's 6 accepted penalties against the Royals.
They're working on 100 yards worth of penalties here.
It is enough yardage for the first down. It isn't an automatic first down, but it was a 2nd and 5, so they get the first down anyway. Jordan Anot is wrapped up. Yeah, and he's a quarterback that the coach will tell you he's really not a quarterback. He's a running back wide receiver. They just don't have one of those guys who's a natural quarterback, so he's learning the position.
Well, again, they're a young team. They're all learning the positions as they go, and they're going to get better. Each year they're going to get better.
And again, they put 49 on the board against Verdugo Hills. They put 47 up on Reseda to win 2 games. So there have been a couple nights this year where the Chancellors have flourished. El Camino's moved to number 12 in the LA City section poll. Number 1 is San Pedro. Pressure. Incomplete. Another flag out. Ramo is the intended target.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 50.
Vladimir Derbeshian is the guilty party.
This, I question this call. There were 3 Elko defenders on the quarterback. Momentum going forward.
7 accepted penalties in less than 15 minutes of play.
And this was a big one.
Takes it out to the 45-yard line of Chatsworth. Chatsworth trying to overcome not only 2 touchdowns, but the fact that they coughed it up 2 times. Chancellors were 6-5 last year and 2-3 in the West Valley League. First down. That one's incomplete. Anot does not have a lot of time, and all he can do is try to toss it out to Ramo in the flat.
Well, again, you see that the defensive line for El Camino is really pressuring him and not giving him time to look downfield. And that was a release pass, just a safety valve that he wasn't able to make.
He doesn't have much more time, though, does he, Paul? I mean, he has very limited choices.
Well, again, when you get hit by 3 defensive linemen, even though they called a penalty on it, it'll make you come to a meeting twice.
Well, the one advantage they do have is Anot has scrambling ability. He's a capable runner, but he doesn't want to run for his life. Second down and long. Again, there's that flare. Ramo is rammed. That was some hit by Donovan Howard. They're exploding on that El Camino sideline. That was a powerful hit out of the secondary by Howard.
Well, he was coming full force, full speed, and two open field positions, and you just see what happens. He was not to be denied on that. He just came and made the play.
Got his shoulder down.
That is called putting the body on him.
Did pick up 5 yards to play, and it's 3rd down and 5.
Elko needs to make a stop here.
Chatsworth coming down the field, down by 2 touchdowns. 7.5 minutes left, opening half on homecoming night in Chatsworth. We're outside tonight, and we don't even need a coat. It is delightful. Quarterback draw. Anot. A nice gain and a first down and a late hit. It's going to cost El Camino more yardage. That was against Jacob Zane.
That is another questionable call, in my opinion. The tackler was moving forward, full speed momentum, and then the quarterback slid. And there's no way the tackler could hold back.
We'll see if they pick this up, because they are, as you can see, conferring. For the time, it's a foul against El Camino. We'll see if it stands.
Dead ball, personal foul, number 44. 15-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down.
Well, that's Aiden Mefford. So that's not what we saw. Let's see if we can detect this on the replay.
Watch the momentum when he slides. The defender's coming at him already. See? That is a judgment call that
But they didn't call it on 10. They called it on 44. So
yeah.
it had to happen somewhere else. Zane was 10. Ramo. And Ramo, he's a strong runner. On film, you like him.
He's a very talented athlete, and he's going to make plays, and they've got to be able to contain him.
Two yards for Ramo. El Camino did a nice job of filtering through and penetrating on that play.
They were able to extend it to the sideline.
2nd down and 8. Ball at the 23 of Elko. Ramo again running wide. He's a downhill runner, and he's tough. He's not the fastest guy in the neighborhood, but he might be the toughest.
Well, it took 3 Elko defenders to pull him down.
Midway stage of the second quarter. El Camino Real clinging to a 14-0 lead. 3rd down and 2 for the Chancellors. Well, Isaiah Ramo has been featured in just about all the plays, and if it's not been him, it's the quarterback, number 9, not calling his own number. There's the power pitch of Chatsworth, and Ramo close to the goal line, spotted at the 1. Isaiah Ramo. Aided and embedded by numerous penalties. Chatsworth's on the doorstep.
And you can see how El Camino misses Jaden Williams.
The sneak and the touchdown. So A-Not is in.
This is a mistake-driven drive. They handed it to Chatsworth.
That young man, he didn't get the touchdown, but Isaiah Ramo was fabulous.
He was not to be denied. When you see a runner who is able to break tackles and break arm tackles, and you need 2-3 people to tackle him, that is an intense athlete.
This quarterback is competitive. Again, he's not a natural quarterback, but he is a competitive guy, and you love that. Ramirez for the point after, and he has no chance. It'll stay at 14-6.
I submit the special teams need work on both schools. They're giving away points.
Chatsworth's in the hunt here. Their confidence has to be up. They're the decided underdog. But El Camino with all those penalties. 8 penalties so far in the opening half.
It's over 100 yards if you add them up, over 100 yards in the first half in penalties. And they've got to settle down. Coach Sabalik has to grab these players and wake them up and make them focus.
They're fortunate, really, that Chatsworth has coughed it up 2 times.
It should have been a different score. Exactly.
Chatsworth could be leading the ball game. Marcel Ramirez kicking off. Question in this game is, can the Chatsworth defense hold up against the powerful run game of ECR? Sanders picks it up. This is Jalen Sanders. Another flag on El Camino. This return will not stand. Sanders is doing a great job, and he goes the distance. Unfortunately, it's going to get wiped out. This one's coming back. What did we tell you about Sanders, though? They wanted to feature him tonight.
They did. He featured himself. But I don't know what this call is. I don't know where they called this.
This is going to, you talk about flipping field position. Instead of a touchdown, El Camino is going to be back near their 10 when it's all said and done.
On the run, illegal block in the back on the return team. That will be a half the distance to the goal penalty. First down, El Camino.
You know, it's funny. Jason Zabala told me if he loses the game tonight, he may walk home.
Well,
I hope he has tennis shoes.
He deserves to walk home if his players don't wake up.
You know, that happened to the baseball coach here at Chatsworth many years ago, Tom Museborn. In a big baseball game, he lost and he ended up walking home 7 miles, and it's about 7 miles for Jason.
Yep.
But how about this run? Talk about 7 miles. What an effort by Jalen Sanders. And again, it was brought back, but that was a marvelous piece of running down the field by the wide receiver of ECR.
Offense. First down, El Camino.
I'd like to see what his block in the back was. I didn't see it at all.
Well, El Camino's going to have to overcome themselves. They've been their own worst enemy. Hall throwing it has Serrano. And he's hit in his tracks. Garcia stood him up.
El Camino has big play capability. They can break it at any time. They just have to be methodical and work the field and not make mistakes. They will score.
Well, again, they're older, more physical than Chatsworth, and you would think they could move them out of there, especially since they've been on the field for so many minutes, and that defense, you would think at some point will wear down. But if Chatsworth can hang close, emotion takes over, and then perhaps Chatsworth could spring the upset. Breaking into the clear was Howard, but it was a near miss.
But Howard was wide open. Again, he hit the seam. Just a short, skinny post, as they call it, and he was wide open.
That would have been a touchdown.
That would have been. He just had to get it there. They're going to come back to it, is my guess. Howard's going right back to the quarterback and saying, look, I'm wide open.
Now, would you come back to that on the next play?
Well, I'm old-fashioned a little bit. Sometimes you do, and I believe in the Lou Holtz philosophy. Run it until they stop you.
3rd down and 3. There's that power pitch. Fouls outside. A lot of running room. There's a flag that's going to go against Chatsworth.
A little extracurricular activity on the sideline. That's not what you want to see.
Nice run by Fowles. He bounced it quickly.
Again, off tackle is where it's at, and I'm surprised Coach Hayashida isn't running that just over and over and over again.
Has Chatsworth had a penalty? They've played clean football to this point. They've made mistakes on offense and in special teams.
They're going to call this against El Camino, it looks like. That's not a good call if that's the case.
I thought the foul was on Chatsworth.
We'll
see.
It was. There's just a lot of indecision on the referee's parts.
Dead ball, personal foul, White. 15-yard penalty. First down, El Camino.
Got to say this. I've never seen a game where one team has 10 penalties to none.
I got to question this, and I got to challenge it.
Well, how do you challenge it? They don't have challenge in high school football.
No, but I'm saying you have to look at this and say there's got to be some kind of mindset that the referees have.
See, fouls through the football after the fact. That's why he got the penalty. On the replay, you see why he was penalized. But you do not have a happy sideline at El Camino Real. After looking at it, you can't argue with the call, though. Great run after the catch. What an effort by Devin Howard.
He's got to tuck that ball away, though. He's running it out there like a loaf of bread. He's got to tuck it away. They'll knock it loose.
He overcame the penalty yards and gives ECR the first down. What an odd first half. This is as odd as it gets, and I know it's high school football, but this is really a strange game.
There's, again, arm tackles. You're not going to stop him with arm tackles. You got to put a body on him.
And you're right about him.
The ball is really out there. And
it looked like he wanted to go and try to slam dunk on a basketball court.
Or throw it at somebody.
First down, El Camino Real. Inside of 3 minutes to play, first half. Hall again takes off. Gets a good block on the near sideline, and there he goes. All the way down to the 21-yard line. Goes Javen Hall. Another flag on the play.
I have no comment. I just this is beyond normal here. The referees are just a little overzealous.
We have a flag on the play.
Overzealous. They got to let the players play.
Well, let's hear what the call is from Michael Good. Again, I'm not sure there's a flag up, but I know which team committed the foul.
Yeah. We had a personal foul. Nothing else we can do. Blindside block. Get out of the way, young man. On White. 15-yard penalty. First down.
11 penalties to none. I may be wrong. I'm trying to do it in my head. It's not like we have official stats up here. I don't remember a Chatsworth foul. Do you?
I don't.
So I know that I've been counting them for El Camino. That's 11.
And I've got to question the referees here. I'm sorry, but this is beyond what should be allowed to play.
Well, Michael Good's gone over and he's talking to
the
coaching staff.
I would suggest that these coaches are going to file a different kind of action. And I mean, again, this is just not normal. You just can't see this imbalance of penalties on one team. It's almost as if they're planning that that's what they're going to do. It's about the referees and not about the kids playing. This is there can be a formal protest here, is my guess. These guys got to just let them play.
It's getting really chippy between the coaching staff of El Camino and the officiating.
Again, I don't see where these penalties are going. That's a great block. The guy's body was in front of him. That's not a clip, if that's what they're calling.
But we don't know where the flag was even thrown. I do think that's what was called, but we're not 100% sure that was the call. There is a lot of people here, and they're just sitting back, relaxed, on a gorgeous night in Chatsworth. 2:40 left in a weird first half.
This is beyond an average normal.
Is it Halloween yet?
It could be. This is trick or treat time with these referees, in my opinion. Those plays that you saw, that if that was indeed a supposed clip, it wasn't. When the body is turned and it's a face-to-face block, that's not clipping.
No, I agree with you. I don't think in any way, shape, or form.
And I don't know why these referees are calling that, other than the fact that they're not seeing it correctly.
Well, that takes the ball back on the other side of the football field to the 44-yard line of El Camino. 1st and 10. So they do have good field position, still have plenty of time if they can overcome their own mistakes. And again, they're getting operating room. Fouls in high gear. What a run. Fowles has another touchdown. 3 on the night for Drayden Fowles. And there are no flags on the field.
I was waiting for a flag. I swear I was waiting for it. Yeah, I know. I was waiting for it. But, I mean, Fowles, again, when we say that El Camino has big play capability, that's exactly what you saw in Fowles. Just able to break it.
Sensational sophomore running back, Drayden Fowles. Johnson on for the PAT. It's a 26 score currently. Fowles has all 3 of the touchdowns for the Royals. Johnson drills the point after, 21-6.
That's what we talked about. Again,
Let's take a look at this. This is pretty.
He's going off tackle. You can just see it. He just cuts off tackle, and he's wide open. There's no contain by Chatsworth.
How about the burst he showed?
He's a talent. He's got 2 years to play.
Well, 3 first-half touchdowns. This could be a night he long remembers.
Oh, yeah. And it will long remember the penalties.
Well, they're able to overcome all those fouls on that drive.
But can you imagine?
With fouls.
Would you imagine if they didn't have the penalties, it would be 40 points already?
Well, if you're Chatsworth, you're saying, can you imagine? We'd be in the ballgame if we didn't fumble it away twice.
Well, but they only fumbled it away because of the penalties that El Camino made. They got the ball back, technically.
Johnson will kick off.
In the end zone, Mr. Johnson.
Well, he's 1 tonight he has in the end zone. That one looks pretty good, though. He really hit that one well, and it's in to and out of the back of the end zone. Now, if you're Chatsworth, you're outmanned physically. You can ill afford to turn the ball over. You got to be somewhat conservative. You don't have a passing game. So you got to establish the run. They did on the last drive. They got a couple screen passes into Isaiah Ramo, and Ramo was the featured guy, number 28.
He was the guy that made it happen. But again, you've got a defensive line missing its prime defensive lineman in Williams, and so they're going to make up for it. So Chatsworth is able to capitalize on that, and they're able to run the ball, even though it's one dimension.
Oh, the Chancellors start from their 20. You can see some of the throng on hand here on homecoming. Pass nearly intercepted. Tovin came very close to the pick.
Tovin has 2 on the season.
Sam's a good player. He's really coming on. He matured last year at the end of the season. And he's come in this year in great shape, and he's playing terrific football. Second and 10. And if I'm Chatsworth, the one thing you don't want is a 3 and out here. There's time for El Camino to get the ball back and put another one up on the board, and that would make it mighty difficult for Chatsworth. So they need to get a first down. Second down and 10. And Ramo is hitting his backfield. And let's see if El Camino elects to take a timeout. Justin Edwards again, 34 underneath the pile. Flag has come out. So far, that's been the best offensive play for Chatsworth.
I would be surprised if it was against
Dead
Chatsworth.
ball, personal foul, number 7, 15-yard penalty. The result, first down.
Well, that hurts El Camino in terms of trying to get the football back before intermission. Necochea was the one hit with the penalty. 12 first half infractions against El Camino Real. They got to be shaking their head a little bit. I know they have a 15-point lead here, but you can't have 12 penalties and a half when you have teams like Granada Hills and Birmingham in front of you. And the one thing about El Camino, they control their own destiny this year. They win tonight, they're 2-0 in the league.
Not the way they're playing.
Well, you know he's tough. Isaiah Ramo. Didn't get a whole lot, but he is a young man that is determined.
You got to put a body on him. You can't arm tackle him. He breaks tackles that way.
Chatsworth calls a timeout.
1, 2.
Brings up second down.
You got to gang tackle him. Very powerful runner.
Picked up 4 yards. Second down at 6. Chatsworth, I guess, by stopping the clock here, Paul, has a little bit of confidence that they can come down the field and maybe get some points before the halftime. And they get the ball to begin the second half, so they're thinking if we can score late, get the ball to start the second half, we can get right back into this.
Well, they're going to have to try to throw the ball here if that's their strategy, because the ground game won't. They don't have the speed on paper to bust it wide open. But if they get a receiver open, that could be the difference here.
You're watching El Camino football on LA36 with Paul Zabalik. I'm Randy Rosenblum. And again, I can't tell you how beautiful it is here. What a sunset we had. That's why we live here, right?
Picture postcard.
Yep.
Chamber of Commerce Day.
And we have coats on. You saw us on the open. We shirt and tie, coat on, right? We don't have the coat on and we're in the stands. It's warm tonight. It's not hot, but it's just perfect. It's delightful. Second down and 6. Well, the defensive front held up that time.
And play stop for
No gain. Ramo again. He ran into the defensive front.
Timeout, El Camino.
Now, the Royals take the timeout. They know that if they can get a third down stop, they'll get the ball back one more time.
And they have the explosive offense to be able to make something happen with a minute left.
Yeah, you think about it from Chatsworth's perspective. They played and I know they had a couple penalties or a couple turnovers on the kicks. When they were stripped on the kickoff. Ramo was stripped, and on a punt return they dropped one, they muffed one. But they played clean football. They have not had any penalties. That's terrific execution considering how young they are.
That's a disciplined football team. Again, it goes to the coaching. Their players are disciplined, their players are focused, and they're not making the penalties and they're not making the mistakes.
Third down and 6.
Third down and 6 when play resumes.
They're going to throw it up here is my guess. I'd be surprised if he didn't try to put it up.
Well, again, Anot has that ability to run, but the ball's on the ground. Wow. Loose football. He's able to get it back to quarterback. Lost yardage, and now it's fourth down with exactly a minute to play.
Even though El Camino has 21 points on the board, Chatsworth has handed them those points, basically by fumbling the ball away or killing their own drives, allowing El Camino to take over possession.
With 1 minute left on the clock.
Exactly a minute to play. Royals take the timeout. Again, that's an inexperienced quarterback, so they're going to make those kind of plays.
Again, those mistakes are keeping El Camino in the game.
Well, you got Tovin who returns punts. Howard's return kicks.
Fouls his return kick.
Yeah, so they have some options, and all of them are good ones. And if you're Chatsworth, when you go back into the locker room, you know you've played clean from an execution perspective, but you haven't handled the ball well. Got to stop that, and they got to somehow find some aerial game. They're not running it effectively enough. They got to throw the football in the second half, I would imagine. And it is Tovin that is going back deep to return, standing back at his 37-yard line. They kick it right to Tovin. Sam Tovin knocked back, but he reached near midfield.
And the tackle was made at the 47-yard.
He's got sure hands. That's why he's back there catching the ball, and he's able to also make things happen on the return.
So it's going to be spotted at the El Camino 40, I'd say the 48-yard line. We do have a player down for Chatsworth, so we're going to have a timeout. Our halftime is going to be interesting. Marvin Street, the head coach, visiting with Jason Zabak. So the two coaches chopping it up a little bit.
That's an interesting halftime that you get a chance to meet the coaches, and you get a chance to hear their background. You get a chance to hear how they got to where they are today, and they become great role models for their players.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're surrounding the young man that's down for Chatsworth, and we, at this point, can't tell you who he is. There's all kinds of trainers around him. 21-6, really, it's been the Dre Don Fowles show for El Camino. 3 first-half rushing touchdowns.
It is the Fowles evening. It is the night that young players dream about. And he's not over. It's not over. You got a half play to go.
Well, they'll be very careful with the young man who's down. Looks to be an apparent leg injury. So the two teams have gone to the sideline, and we're going to have a little bit of a delay here. On those specialty team units, you can get players nicked up. It's a mad scramble, as you all know.
It's the most vulnerable play in football. It is a punt return, a kickoff return, any type of open field opportunity to make a play or make a tackle. You've got players running at full speed at each other, and it creates a great collision.
They've called for an ambulance. So we are going to have a delay here. And unfortunately, we can't detect who the young man who's down because, again, they're all around him. So we wish him well. And we're going to have to sit and we're going to wait. And that is a secondary issue. We hope for his well-being. So this will delay matters, and this will be tough on both teams. One of the hardest things to do is to play a football game after an injury. And again, we don't know if it's serious or not. They take a lot of precautions with this, bringing the ambulance in.
That's what they've got to basically do, and you just err on the side of caution. You don't just arbitrarily say he's fine. In my day, they would just tape you up and put you back in the game and say continue playing.
Now nowadays they're very careful, and well, they should be. So we're going to run some highlights for you here, as you can see a huge crowd on homecoming, and they're a little concerned right now. All right, well, have you take this through this.
This is Zermita. Watch him just put his head down and get the last 5 yards all by himself. And Mr. Fowles doing it all by himself. Once they're able to break the line of scrimmage, it's just off to the races. There's just nobody there.
this Sanders return was called back. Just went to the press box. I just tried to find out the man's name that's down. They don't have it, so they can't tell either. But this is a great return by Jalen Sanders, and unfortunately that touchdown didn't stand.
When you look at this film, when the coaches look at this film and they see these mistakes, they're going to be surprised that some of these calls were made. Yeah, there were some obvious, but yet many of these calls are judgment calls on the referee's part. And if they just feel that that's going to be a difference maker, they'll make that call.
Next week, El Camino Real will move into the third game of their West Valley League season. And they'll play Taft, and when we get to halftime, we will find out exactly where that game will be played. It will not be played at El Camino because they're still working on the field.
We haven't heard of any other schools having the same problem with the melting field, did we?
No. No. It's an issue with El Camino, and those things happen. Let's see if I can find some other scores. I know Mater Dei scored on Bosco early to lead 7-0. Halftime Loyola had a Crespi 28-0. By the way, Elijah Brown is the one who scored that touchdown for Mater Dei. After one quarter, San Pedro had a Gardena in the Marine League 14-0. Just trying to find some other scores for you. By the way, this is going to be a long telecast tonight with the injury. It's stretching out proceedings. Here's an interesting score, and this is the one I was looking for. At one point, it was 14-0 Granada Hills. Birmingham has scored, and it's 14-7. Maybe the changing of the guard in the West Valley League. Granada Hills still early, leading Birmingham 14-7.
Granada Hills has demonstrated a terrific run game. They've got some great receivers and great tailbacks. They run the wing tee. They run that misdirection offense very well. And then, of course, Birmingham is Birmingham.
Well, if there's a year to get Birmingham, everyone said this was the year. They're young. You know, they lost a lot of players that have won a couple consecutive open championships. But again, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, even though they're down early, 14-7 against Granada Hills. And that's a good Granada Hills team. It's the same team that beat Chatsworth last week. So they're still working in the middle of the field on a young man that's down. Again, everyone's around him. We can't tell you who it is. And they're talking to him. And that's all we can say at this point. We're not going to hazard any kind of guess. It is a full moon, and it's been that kind of night. Crazy first half with penalties and fumbles by Chatsworth, penalties on El Camino, but now everything is put in its proper perspective. You know, football takes a huge back seat. And this is tough for the Chatsworth kids. I mean, that's a teammate out there that, you know, they're obviously very close with and are very concerned about right now.
And they've got to take the precautions. They just don't want to move them and possibly damage more than keep it in a secure place.
Well, we're going to have some late night football for you. This is going to take some time. Kind of surprised that the ambulance hasn't gotten here yet. It's taken a little bit longer than I expected to get that ambulance over here. You can see one of the gates is open to the field. Southern goal to our left. They have the fence open. I would imagine that's where the ambulance will come in from. We're inside of a minute to play in the first half. It's 21-6 El Camino Real. They just returned to punt to near midfield when the injury occurred.
You just never want to see those kinds of situations.
I once did a championship game in the southern section. I think it was many years ago. I don't remember who the teams were. I think it was Los Altos. I could be wrong even. And we had a similar situation. I did the game with Jack Snow, the former Ram. They didn't play the game after the injury. They didn't start back. It was 28 minutes later before they started again. So it could be that kind of delay. The late, great Jack Snow. Jack was a terrific guy. Great football player for those who remember, for the Rams and Notre Dame.
And I do.
Unfortunately, we lost him too early.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we had to do much like this, just sit and wait. And those pictures, it's terrible for both sides. You know, everybody feels guilty. You're concerned about a young man who's down on the field, and you just don't know. As a coach, what do you say to your kids here, Paul?
You just come together and you just bring them all together and you just tell them to keep their heads up and keep focused and to keep good thoughts about what's going on and know that the player that's injured will be getting the best care possible and things will work out. You just maintain a positive attitude about it and you just keep your players focused.
Well, they're continually working on him. And still difficult to detect who it is because there's so many individuals around him. Still waiting, I would imagine, for that ambulance to get here. Although they do have a stretcher out there, and I just wonder if they're going to put him on the stretcher. They do have the option, too, of going to halftime here and just playing out the last minute of the second quarter to begin the third quarter. That is an option if you want to do that, but for a moment, I thought Chatsworth was going to go back into the locker room. They were headed in that direction.
Well, they've got a fire truck here that was here for their homecoming, and I think some of the fire paramedics are out there working on them now.
Yeah, here they come. The ambulance is here. It's on the field. So it finally arrived. We're going to learn more about this situation momentarily. Well, football doesn't seem as important, does it?
Nope.
You know, we're in an area now where everyone talked about concussions and how dangerous this football game is. We all love the game, but there's an aspect to it that's a little dicey.
Let's just hope he's okay. And
well, the medical staff's out there now. They're working on him, so the proper personnel is around him. It's no longer school members. It's people who came in with the ambulance. And they're bringing a chair out there. Maybe he'll come out via the chair, and that would be great if that's the case. That means he could sit up. They're wheeling a stretcher, a chair, but turns into a stretcher. So they'll probably place him on the stretcher, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So then they'll wheel him off, unfortunately. So they'll strap him in. And we'll go from there. El Camino's going for its 4th consecutive win on the road, but you almost hesitate to talk about that right now.
It is not a topic of conversation. Everyone's concern is focused on the player.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you never want it to happen. And here you're on a homecoming. It's a celebration. It's a celebratory evening for everybody at Chatsworth, and they see one of their guys go down. And makes the night a little bit more difficult, doesn't it?
Well, they just want to do it right. They want to make sure that that he's got the best care and treatment right now.
See the head coach Marvin Street walking out to visit his fallen player. They're putting him on the stretcher as we speak. Let's see if we get a thumbs up. Sometimes you'll see a player give us a thumbs up when they wheel him off. Let's hope that's the case anyway. But right now we can't see anything. There's so much personnel around him, medical personnel. And again, there are many times that this doesn't turn out as bad as it looks. Again, a lot of it's precautionary, and he is now on the stretcher, fully extended.
It does look like a leg injury.
Yep, the player is coming off. You see that Mater Dei score 7-0. They're going to bring him into the Los Angeles Fire Department vehicle, which is right here. And he did raise his head, acknowledging his fans here. That's really good to see. I'm going to take a hard to tell. He's got movement, so that's a great sign.
It's not a head injury.
No, it is not. No. And I believe that this is a big precautionary situation. I'm hoping, based on what we just saw when he sat up, not fully extended, but sat up, acknowledging the crowd, that he'll be okay. I'm going to go to the press box real quick, Paul. You hold on.
I'll hold on.
And I'm going to go up there and see if they could get if they have his name. They gave me a number, but they weren't sure, so I'm not going to pass on the number if they're not 100% sure. All right, we have 49 seconds left in the half. Well, it had to be, what, a 15, 20-minute delay?
Yeah, that's exactly right. At least 25.
Now they've come over. I'm glad I didn't say the number because they said it wasn't him. You don't want to guess about things like this.
No.
And now you have a warm-up period for the teams. You can see they're, after cooling down, they have to stretch out again. And we're going to have a halftime in less than a minute. Well, this will be a night you remember. This is a little bit different than the rest, huh?
It'll give the coaches a chance to settle their players and get them refocused on what they have to do, and they know their teammate will be fine and he'll recover.
Yep, ambulance is leaving. Fans here applauding the player that's been taken away. There it is. And again, the most positive aspect is the way he sat up in the stretcher. So that's a good thing. Well, we wish you well, young man, whoever you are.
Yep, we still don't have a number.
Nope, it was impossible to tell. So back to football, and it's going to take a while to refocus and readjust and think about the gridiron for a while. And the way this stadium is constructed, the vehicle that's taking them out has to go all the way around the track. So a game that kicked off at 7:05. It's over an hour and a half, and we haven't gotten to halftime because of the delay. If you joined us late, a young man went down on the punt return and is being taken off, and we wish him well. So that caused us to have about a 20-minute delay. El Camino has 3 touchdowns in this game, all from Drayden fouls on the ground. Anot, the quarterback of Chatsworth, scored their touchdown. So El Camino has the ball at their 47-yard line with 49 seconds left. And no timeouts remaining according to the scoreboard. So here we go. See if El Camino can score before halftime. So in essence, this is going to be like 2 halftimes for these teams.
Yeah, well, they had a time to again, refocus and regroup.
What do you want to see from El Camino here? They don't have any timeouts, and they got to get down the field. Now, they do have a great kicker. If they get 20 or 30 yards, they could try a field goal. Howard running right.
That's been there all night, and it'll continue to be. I haven't seen Chatsworth make any adjustments off tackle.
Did not get out of bounds. The clock is running. They don't seem to be in any hurry. Down to 20 seconds left. A reverse. And this one is throttled down, bottled up. Diaz taking the end around, and that should take us to halftime, and does.
That was a poorly executed reverse play that 2 receivers didn't know which direction to go. They ran into each other, actually.
Well, they're going to have a nice halftime show here for their homecoming. It's 21-6 El Camino Real. Last 49 seconds of the half uneventful, but El Camino did have some fireworks in the form of their fine running back, Drayden fouls, with 3 first-half touchdowns. Well, earlier tonight, we had an opportunity for the 2 coaches to get together. That's Marvin Street and, of course, Jason Zabalik, who's done such a fine job at El Camino Real. And there's also going to be a special guest. Jason will introduce him as well. So while we have the time here at halftime, let's hear from the respective coaches for El Camino and for Chatsworth. Let's take a peek at that.
Thank you, and welcome to another week of El Camino Real Royals football. Today we have the pleasure of talking to head football coach Marvin Street, the Chatsworth Chancellors. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Well, hey, you guys are hosting us here this fine evening. I mean, it's sunny and 70. Can you ask for a better environment for homecoming? Explain to us about today's environment.
Today is our homecoming night. We have a lot of people expected to come out. It's a huge game. Chatsworth and El Camino have been pretty much rivaling for the past couple of years, so there's a lot of hype, especially for the fact that we have former coach Rick Hayashida now at El Camino calling the offense. He used to be our head coach, so it's a huge game. We're very thankful for this weather, though, because usually at this time it's really windy.
Well, you touched on something great, Coach, and the fact that we have generations of coaching once again this week. I think that's one of kind of the reoccurring themes that you'll see week in and week out of the West Valley League, especially are homegrown coaches. And once again, last week we talked with Peter Gunny during halftime of the Cleveland game, and now once again, Coach Street, talk a little bit about where you came from and where you graduated.
I grew up in Pacoima. I was very fortunate to come to school here at Chatsworth High School. I graduated in the year 2000. I'm just very fortunate to come back and coach here and give to my players what my coaches did for me. So it's a true blessing.
Now, Coach has a great philosophy in the weight room. Talk a little bit about how you guys prepare and what your philosophy is as far as getting players ready in the weight room.
Well, we're just huge on pushing ourselves beyond our limits. We are very big about getting out of our comfort zone. You know, we know here at Chatsworth High School, we usually get kids that have never played sports in their life. So we know that through our weight room program, we can get them to a point where we are able to compete at a high level, especially in the West Valley League.
Well, you know, and that's such a great philosophy. Now, accountability has been something that I feel has been lacking since the COVID pandemic and kids coming back onto campus. Talk a little bit about how you get kids to buy in and the accountability, and then I'll share with the stuff that we do.
Well, you touched on an important thing, which is coming back from the pandemic. We at Chatsworth, we like to take more of a therapeutic approach, especially coming back from the pandemic. You know, we are making sure the kids are okay mentally and emotionally, providing them the support that they need to transition back into school. You know, we're directing them to the proper resources on campus, you know, and after completing a year, we are still in that mode, but we're slowly but surely transitioning back to holding them more accountable.
Right, and I think it's a slow return to
Absolutely.
demanding practices
Exactly.
and reinstilling that they need to find that happy medium.
Yes.
Now, for something that we do, I meet individually with every single kid in the program at least twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring. They also meet with their counselors once in the fall,
Yes.
once in the spring. So we at least have some form of intervention and tutoring and academic help, and I think that's really helped us getting a little bit more in depth with the kids and getting them to learn and understand and trust a little bit about what we're talking about.
Right. Well, you know, I'm very big. I'm on campus. I'm teaching. I have several students in my classes. It allows me to interact with them on a daily basis, on a regular basis. You know, I'm very fortunate to have a really high attendance rate at practice. We switch things up. Sometimes we go in the morning, and sometimes we go in the afternoon. So we're constantly getting kids out of their comfort zone, you know, just to get them prepared for life, because life, you know, can be uncomfortable sometimes.
You know, and if we can make an appeal to anybody who's listening to allow for more coaches to go back into the classroom, because like you said, you have that individual one-on-one abilities to touch them off the practice field and impact their day-to-day lives.
Absolutely.
And make things better. And so graduating in the year 2000 from here at Chatsworth, and myself graduating from El Camino 98, there's a strong tradition in that rivalry, more so with baseball, but as you touched upon the last couple years, especially with football and kids going back and forth. And, you know, it is a fantastic opportunity to play these guys. It's close to home. We went through the back route today, so it's nice to get to go some of the horse houses back in the back route today. So talk, last but not least, a little bit about you guys climbing that hill and getting back to that respectable level in the West Valley League and the competition that we face every week going in to a Granada or a Birmingham or each other or a Taft.
Well, as I previously mentioned, here at Chatsworth, we generally get kids that have never played sports in their entire life. So this year we're pretty young on varsity. We're starting 9 sophomores, and most have never played football. But we don't let that be an excuse for us. We just keep working and working, getting them more acclimated to what is required to be a top-tier football player in the city section. You know, some of the kids have aspirations to go on and play at the next level. So we are just constantly grinding away at the fundamentals and, you know, getting them used to what it takes to compete at a high level. So, yeah.
Excellent, man. And you guys have done a great job over here at Chatsworth, Coach, and really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us today.
Absolutely.
Best of luck to you guys today.
Same to you.
All right, Coach. So we have another guest today. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you to our new athletic director, Richard Russell. He is the man behind the scenes. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us.
Coach Sabalik, it's my pleasure, as always.
So I'm in this man's office every day bothering him and trying to get things accomplished, and he's done such a phenomenal job helping us out along the way and clearing the path for us in the football season. And I wanted to bring him on so that he can personally divulge where we are actually going to be playing our last three supposed home games of the season are no longer home games due to our field being refurbished. So, Coach Russell, will you let us know where we are playing our last three?
Certainly, Coach. Well, we're going to do our best, first of all, to make these our home when we're there. It's been a struggle. First year AD, and I came into a firestorm of our field being down.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been a little bit of a struggle.
No doubt.
But we managed to nail down 3 good locations for our games. Next week, we will be at Cleveland High School playing Taft. On 10/21, our homecoming game will be at Oak Park High School.
Oh, fantastic.
And on 10/27, Thursday night, we will be playing Granada Hills at Granada.
And that's for senior night.
For our senior night, yes. It'll actually be a joint senior night with Granada.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Well, thank you, Coach, for all of your hard work and dedication to our program, and thanks for all that you do, and go Royals.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. All right, Randy, thank you very much, and back to you.
Welcome back. It is halftime. We're going to pick up some of the halftime show in a moment, but I do want to give you an update on the young man that went down for Chatsworth. His name is Anthony Hernandez. He's a junior. He broke his ankle. So, again, the good news is no life-threatening situation, none of that. It's a broken ankle, which is terrible from a football perspective, and the young man's going to have a long rehab. But, again, I guess in the big picture it could have been worse, and we wish him all the best in the world in Anthony's rehab. So that's the situation. They took him off via the ambulance, a broken ankle for Anthony Hernandez. And let's go back, and we're going to pick up some of this halftime show, try to get in a little bit better mood. El Camino leading 21-6. So enjoy.
some noise for your Chatsworth dance team. Put your hands together.
And welcome back. It's halftime, 21-6 in favor of El Camino Real. We're having an extended halftime show for you here as it's homecoming in Chatsworth at Chatsworth High School. And again, I want to reiterate what we explained to you earlier in the halftime about the young man who broke his ankle and was taken off via the ambulance, Anthony Hernandez, a 5'5" junior. Again, unfortunately, a broken ankle. So that's why we had a long delay near the end of the first half as well. A couple scores to report. Sarah's ahead of Bishop Ammont 21-7. That great track star and great football player, Roderick Pleasant, had a kick return for a touchdown in that game. Pleasant is the fastest young man in America, and one of the fastest young men in the world. So he had a kick return for a touchdown there, and it's 21-7. Sarah ahead of Bishop Ammont. Mater Dei, the big game, at halftime, leading St. John Bosco 7-0. We're in the Valley. There was an interesting game in the Valley tonight. Sierra Canyon, who's had some trials and tribulations. They've been really up and down. They shut out Alamany 42-0, so a big win there for the Trailblazers. And Birmingham has forged ahead in the big game in the West Valley. You know, it's a game that both Chatsworth and El Camino have their eye on as Chatsworth comes back onto the field. Birmingham has a 15-14 lead in that one. There's no indication what quarter it is. I believe it's probably the third, maybe the fourth early. So it's 15-14 Birmingham. And that was reported about 15 minutes ago. All right. We bring back the man, Paul Zabalik. The good for El Camino, explosive plays. The bad were the penalties. The score is another positive.
Yeah, you've got to look at the fact that El Camino was able to stay in the game with all the penalties that they developed, and that Chatsworth made their own mistakes, and they dropped the ball twice. They fumbled the ball. El Camino recovered, and that actually is what kept them in the game. They were able to sustain their drives and score, and it has been Mr. Falls night. This is, if we had to describe it as anything else, his running ability and explosive open field running has made the difference for El Camino.
Yeah, again, the physicality of Jason Zabalik's team. And now a firework display, and that's always nice. The youngsters here love this. We'll just take this in for a moment. Something special about homecoming, isn't it?
It always has been.
You always wonder, is that the end? Is there more? Here we go. This is some fireworks display.
Fans sure like it.
Spectacular.
Well done. Well done, Chatsworth homecoming.
Well, they seem to enjoy that on the sideline. Now they're going to get pumped up. They do get the football back first. So see if Chatsworth can incorporate any kind of explosiveness into their offense. They were very vanilla in the first half. Didn't have any passing game at all. Just a couple swing passes. That's all to their outstanding running back, Isaiah Ramo. But they couldn't get the ball down the field throwing it.
Now that's going to be the dimension they got to work on. Is again, they're a young team, they're young kids, and they're going to learn and develop.
And if you're El Camino, you're looking for a knockout punch. I mean, you have a 21-6 lead. You didn't really play all that well. You had the explosive plays from fouls. But you still are where you're supposed to be, about 2 touchdowns ahead. You're a 3-touchdown favorite. So you're on course to do what you're supposed to do. Now they need to do the knockout thing. They got to knock them out.
They do. And again, they would have had 2 more touchdowns in the first half if those penalties weren't occurring and they sustained those drives. They were moving the ball down the field. They had excellent offensive drives, but yet the penalties killed it. Penalty killers. All the way down the field, and that's why it's not a bigger lead for El Camino. And I would suggest that they just keep the ball on the ground, run those pitch powers, and they're able to score another couple of touchdowns, and that'll put them away. But I know Coach Hayashida, and he's going to want to throw the ball. He's going to want to play with that a little bit and try to get some receivers open.
Of course, this is a homecoming for Rick. He was the former head coach here at Chatsworth. And here we go. Asa Johnson to advance on the ball. Second half will begin after a long and spectacular halftime show. It's this one well. Another touchback for Asa Johnson.
I know I sound like a broken record, but
you are a broken
when
record.
You have that dimension,
you must take advantage of it. You've got to do it every time and just give them an 80-yard field instead of a 60-yard field.
I like you as a broken record.
I am that. I'm old.
No, you're not old.
Most people don't remember records.
Yeah, that's true. But it is a valid point. You know, you want to get that kind of leg. You want to knock it through the end zone and deny a guy like Isaiah Ramo, who returned one almost for a touchdown to start the game.
That's, again, to my point. Don't let him touch the ball.
Start from the 20-yard line at the prep level. There he goes. Ramo is a very fine running back.
He is. Again, they were trying to arm tackle him, and you can't do that. You've got to put your body on him.
Let's take another look at Isaiah in action.
Just straight dive, and he was able to break through the line of scrimmage, and it was to the races.
And after the 20-yard pickup.
From the 20 to the 40, so he picked up 20 on that first down tote. Scrum in the middle of the field, and Aynot still going. Another 20-yard gain. So it was Aynot on this one, the quarterback. That's just effort.
Chatsworth's offensive line average is 275 pounds, and you're seeing that right now. They just came off the ball, and they wedged it. It was just a wedge play, quarterback sneak, and just kept pushing the pile.
How about that effort, though, of Jordan Aynot?
Yeah. Just unbelievable power and strength.
Back-to-back 20-yard runs. Ramo, this time, they stick him pretty good. Coming up to greet him was Donovan Howard.
This is an example of what El Camino has to do again, like they did against Narbonne. They put 7-8 people in the box, and they stuffed the gaps, and they were able to shut down the run game for Narbonne.
Got to commend Jordan Aynot. Again, he's not going to beat you with his arm. He's a very smart player, also on the basketball and volleyball team, so he's a three-sport guy here. And by the way, he's been on city championship teams in both volleyball and basketball. There's going to be our first penalty of the night on Chatsworth.
False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down. You expect penalties from a young team. You don't expect penalties from an experienced team that's returning a bunch of seniors and juniors. Sophomores will make that mistake.
Nathan Vargas was out of sequence, and it cost his team 5 yards. But again, Chatsworth's first infraction that we can recall on the night. There's the same El Camino play, the power pitch, and Chatsworth utilizes it. And this Ramo is an outstanding running back. You can't say enough about number 28.
It is an effective play when you've got enough linemen that can make a wedge. Then it's just, again, no contain on El Camino's part. They have not been able to create that defensive containment.
All the way down to the 25. It's first down.
They didn't do it last week, and they're not doing it tonight.
Chatsworth is getting chunk plays in the running game. They'll go right back to the power pitch. And there goes Ramo again. Well, Chatsworth has found something, and they're really going to it. And number 28 has been right in the middle of all the plays in the second half, other than the one Aynot run. It's been all Ramo. El Camino takes a timeout to reorganize on defense.
They just haven't been able to contain any of the teams that they've played. And once that's vulnerable, then everybody's going to start picking on it. And you see it here. There's nobody outside the tackle. And he's able to just bounce it out and make the play.
Well, this is exactly how Chatsworth diagrammed it. I'm sure Marvin Street talked to them about their pride and playing better in the second half. And it's a rested offensive team. They didn't have a lot of snaps in the first half, and they've come out here full throttle and have taken it to El Camino and have marched on the ground, exclusively on the ground, and they're in the red zone.
Well, this is pitch power offense. The linemen are foot to foot, and there's no gaps in between, so it's hard for El Camino's defensive linemen to split them.
Ramo carried it again. Caden McCoy with the stop for ECR. Caden had a great moment a few weeks back at Narbonne with an interception and a touchdown of a Ryan Corley pass. He returned it 77 yards for a score.
You got
McCoy's a young player.
Alcazar at 370 pounds, and you've got number 77, John Monray.
Yeah, Alcazar's a
260 pounds. They're just a big, big offensive line, and they run the pitch power as well as any other team.
Again, it's Anot running, and he was hurled back. And it's getting a little feisty out there. Third down and 1. You know, if Chatsworth sticks it in the end zone here, Paul, we got a ball game. This is far from over. El Camino's not in. They could get lulled to sleep in this game.
El Camino's defensive front is missing Jaden Williams. Again, he would have made a bigger difference against 270-pound linemen.
Third down and a yard. Anot again calling his own number. And they're getting a good push off the ball, and that's good enough for the first down. First and goal.
Just wedging the defensive line, and they're getting the yardage they need.
Anot is just such a determined young guy. He's a battler. Very nice runner with the football.
As long as he doesn't fumble the ball, they hold on to the ball. There'll be a score here.
They need 5 yards for the touchdown. And it gets mighty interesting if this ball goes across the goal line. It's a 15-point lead for El Camino, and we only are 5 minutes into the second half. So here's an opportunity for the Chancellors to get right back into the hunt. Hand off to the goal line. Touchdown Chatsworth.
Number 28.
It's always Ramo. And Isaiah's got a touchdown. Anot had the first one. Ramo has the second one, and it's 21-12. See if they go for 2.
It's a ball game.
Now, on the card, it says this situation, you get the 1 to get within 8. Coaches normally kick it here, and that's what they'll do. Ramirez, let's see if he can knock this one through. This one's a clean kick, and it is good, and it's 21-13.
Good snap, put it down, and they got the point, which they didn't do the last time. They fumbled the snap.
So it took them 5 minutes to come right down the field and get right back in the ball game. Marcel Ramirez with the point after. You got to credit Chatsworth. That's a determined drive.
Well, you look at the wedge. Just look at the surge that their offensive line is putting. That's 275-pound average linemen. And El Camino doesn't have the size without Jaden Williams.
Well, we've seen it in recent weeks when El Camino's been challenged in these second halves. The offense has picked it up and come down the field and responded. We'll see if they do it again here. With Paul Zabalik, I'm Randy Rosenbaum. This is El Camino Royal Football on LA36. Royals seem to win the games we have on TV, but they're never easy. They always play close games.
Well, they shoot themselves with the penalties.
It's a live football. And that's great coverage. It's going to be a very long field for El Camino Real. Trying to return it was Antonio Diaz, and he was bottled up.
You see the momentum shift. This is what football is all about. This is where attitude and determination are visible.
Now a flag has come out after the play. It was thrown near the Chatsworth sideline. Michael Good, our lead official, who was busy in the first half, will give us the indication on which team made the foul.
We have a dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against the Chatsworth head coach. 15-yard penalty.
Wow.
First down.
Well, something got the ire of Marvin Street. He's usually mild-mannered.
Very. That's a surprise.
There's Marvin. He's smiling. I wonder what he said. That'll give the Royals a little bit better field position.
That's a surprise.
He's pleading his case. As you can see, Marvin Street talking with Michael Good. And it's Chatsworth that's been hit with a couple penalties in the third quarter. But they've come out with intensity and with a sense of purpose and a sense of urgency, and they've gotten into El Camino. So let's see if the Royals can fight right back.
This is a character test for El Camino right now. They've got to take the ball down the field and make a statement. They can't just sit there and roll over.
Again, Chatsworth moved the ball right down the field without a passing attack. One-dimensional, and it didn't matter. Fouls. Nice surge by Drayden Fowles. Another flag. Had way too many of those tonight. Michael's been too busy.
Dead ball. Watch out, Willie. Foul. Personal foul. Number 4, defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's Edward Ayala, and it now seems like Chatsworth's doing exactly what El Camino did in the first half.
Well, turnabout is fair play, as they say.
El Camino was backed up, and suddenly they're out to their 45-yard line. 2 15-yard personal fouls against Chatsworth.
I'm surprised that Coach Street got a penalty. I'm curious as to what that was.
First and 10, ECR. Hall and Fowles having a running conversation. Ball's on the ground, picked up by Howard. And I don't know why the play was blown dead. They blew the play dead.
Why?
Good question.
That's again. These are official mistakes, and
they're calling this a pass, an incomplete pass.
It was a handoff. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask the guys again if they can show us a replay of that one more time, because
this is.
You see, the officials felt it was a shovel pass forward and was ruled an incomplete pass, but
wow,
it didn't look like that at all. Did
No,
it looked like a fumble on a pitch. Anyway, it's second down and 10. Here's another reverse. Howard going back the other way. Devin Howard has first down yardage. And again, the El Camino offense, after getting help from a couple penalties, gets the big play on the reverse. We're going to go back. Take a look. And from our view, this looks like a fumble. Nope, I think it is a good call. I think he was pushing it forward. I can see why they made that call. I'm not going to argue with that one.
Judgment call.
It was close.
Yeah.
I will say it's close. Can't argue with that, though. Thanks, guys, on the truck for bringing that back up. Another run for ECR. They're doing it with great authority. And now they're winning the line of scrimmage.
Ermita.
Colin Ermita with the carry. And he picks up 8 yards, 8 hard-earned runs for the veteran Colin Ermita.
He's just a tough runner. You just put his head down, and he just surges ahead, and he's just not going to be denied. He's fun to watch.
El Camino moving down the field. 4:45 left, third quarter. Howard has room. Devin Howard. First and goal, Elko. Just a quick pass to the flat, and it opened up.
You've got Howard on an island. That's what they want to do, is isolate him and just let him run.
There's a late flag after the play. Well, this is just undisciplined football by both teams, and you don't like to see that.
Got a dead ball foul. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 4 of the offense.
And it's against the offense.
15-yard penalty. First down.
Antonio Diaz.
This is now about the referees now. It's not about the players. This is
Correction, 15.
Both teams seem to be getting a little chipper after the game.
I didn't see Diaz do anything.
I didn't either. Again, it's now about the referees.
Wonder if they just gave the wrong number. First down, ECR. Cost them some real estate, but they're still in great shape to try to score again. Hall, beautiful throw. Pitch and catch. That should be a touchdown. It is to Jake Shirley. There is a flag behind the play. Can you believe this?
I am just stunned by these referees. I am sorry. I can't just look at this and not comment.
Player downfield on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Well, they're going to get another opportunity. The good news here is El Camino's moving the ball with an assortment of plays. The bad news is they continue to have penalties. 15 penalties on the night.
Yeah, but where's the receiver? Where's the lineman downfield? He's making a block. He's on a block. That is not an illegal receiver downfield. Lineman downfield making a block from the line of scrimmage is not an illegal call. That is, again, bad call by the referee.
Boy, you've been on them tonight.
A normal person has to comment on this. I mean, you look at this and you're saying, almost every play in football has a holding call, and you can call it, but referees have to use their own judgment, and that's just beyond pale here.
You feel bad for Jake Shirley, who made a nice move, nice route, found himself wide open, and would have had a touchdown.
You're not letting the players play. You're making a call that doesn't necessarily mean it made, because it's not even close to the play. It's well away from the play, and it has no bearing on the results of the play. Referees need to know how to make that call. And these gentlemen here are not prepared to do that, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I have to call it as I see it.
Well, the clock is running. We're approaching 3 minutes to play in the third. El Camino trying to overcome more penalties. 2nd and 15. Tovin on the end around. There he goes. Picked up the first down yardage.
And I'm waiting for a flag.
There is none. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Pass the ammunition.
And Tovin being saluted and congratulated on that sideline, and well he should. First and goal, ECR.
You've got to let them play. You just got to let them play.
Another run for ECR. Second down and goal. Well, we've got to put this in the end zone. They're still in a ball game. It's 21-13, and in the big picture, they got to win the game. Chatsworth has come out, came right down the field and scored. Howard outside, turning the corner right to the goal line. Not quite in. It'll be third and less than one.
They're going to do it again. It's going to be pitch power.
Inside of 2 minutes to play in the third. Kevin Howard looking for another touchdown. El Camino. See if they just hand it off, and they do. Did not get in. It's going to bring up fourth down. Just a straight handoff. And the held meted a no gain.
This is pitch power land right here.
Well, if El Camino doesn't score here on fourth down and less than one, Chatsworth will have huge momentum on their side. So you want to run a clean play. You don't want to get detected for a delay or procedure. You want to run the play, try to score. There's the sneak, and he's in. Touchdown, El Camino Real. Javen Hall with the TD.
That's the statement they had to make after that touchdown by Chatsworth.
So this is starting to look a little bit like last year when Chatsworth won 33-30. Both teams have had the ball just once in the quarter, only 49 seconds left. And each side went right down the field, each side getting aided and abetted by personal foul penalties on their opponent. So not disciplined football in the third quarter, but at least we've had some offense. As Ace is out there looking for point number 28 for the Royals. He's got a big leg, and it is 28-13.
I'm stunned at the amount of penalties in this game. It's not normal. That's just not it's not what you see.
What you do see is Hall sneaking it in for a touchdown. It's a great view of him breaking the goal line, going over the plane of the goal line. Well, some relief on that sideline for El Camino.
Well, they can't get too comfortable.
No.
They got to be able to come back and again score when they get the ball.
Well, if you're Chatsworth, you're going to come back and you would think you're going to run the football. The only negative here for Chatsworth, now they're down 2 touchdowns, and the way they play, they don't normally break off big chunk plays. Although the last time they had it, Paul, they had 3 20-yard runs.
Well, again, they had surge by the offensive line. You've got 270-pound offensive linemen, and you don't have Jaden Williams for El Camino.
You do have Asa Johnson kicking it through the end zone again.
Again, that's what I know you're sick of me saying it.
I am.
He's got to do it. He's got to put it in the end zone every time.
Well, it does make it more difficult for Chatsworth. They got to go 80 yards each time.
That's right. When you have that kind of potential, you've got to take advantage of it.
Well, this has been a rapid third quarter. You can see St. John Bosco has drawn even with Mater Dei, both of them undefeated and ranked number 1 and 2 in the country in the same Trinity League. So that's the
unsportsmanlike conduct, number 4.
So here's an unsportsmanlike conduct
First down
on Chatsworth.
I don't know what all these unsportsmanlike calls are about.
That was Edward Ayala. Both teams have been guilty in the third quarter.
They're just not letting the guys play. They're just not letting them play.
So it's 1st and 10 back at the 10-yard line. It's half the distance to the goal line. And Isaiah Ramo, not very much there.
Now you saw 7-man in the box for El Camino. They're stuffing the gaps as best possible, and they're getting a little surge on the defensive line.
That was a Cameron Jones touchdown for St. John Bosco to tie it with Modern Day. 7-7. Another run play successfully. Isaiah Ramo has that ability to find the crease, the gap in the defense. And even though he's not fast, he's a downhill runner, but he hits the hole quickly.
This is the version of the power of the pitch power. They're not pitching it, they're giving it to him, and he's going off tackle. He's following 2 linemen who are 270 pounds each.
Ramo again.
See?
Powerful, still going.
Yep.
That's the end of the third quarter. And we have an El Camino player down. Slow to get up and has not gotten up, trying to get up. Well, we're through 3, and Chatsworth is still within contact. Let's give you another score update from the West Valley. Birmingham has beaten Granada Hills 29-28. So Granada Hills came close, but the champs of Birmingham in the West Valley and the city section get by the Highlanders by 1.
Birmingham is Birmingham. They can find a way to win.
Very young football team. Everyone says if you're going to get Birmingham in the West Valley, this was the year to do it, but that's a big win for Jim Rose's football team.
It's the old days of USC football where they said that USC just reloads. Birmingham just reloads. They don't recruit, they just reload.
Well, there are the numbers. El Camino 28-13. We'll take a highlight and show it to you here momentarily. And this is that push, that offensive line surge as Anot was running upfield.
He just keeps his legs driving, and he's hard to bring down. He's a talented young man.
And Ramo isn't bad either, is he? He's a punishing runner.
They're just going off tackle. Again, no contained by El Camino.
And there's the drop that Howard picked up and
still made yardage.
Now they blew that one dead as they ruled that a pass. Speaking of passing, here's one that's thrown into the flat, and Devin Howard is great at space.
He is. It's the intent of getting him available by himself. This is just pitch power, just straight ahead football. There's nothing other than just put your head down and make yardage.
All right, we're about to begin the fourth quarter. Chatsworth starting to move the football down the field again. They've reached the 44-yard line of the Royals. So 12 minutes for the Chancellors to make up 15 points.
El Camino's got to bring their outside linebackers up to the line of scrimmage and stuff that pitch. You'll see the 2 linemen pull, and they're going to make a space.
You know, many years ago on this field, and you can see they're trying to bring this big fellow down, Ramo. 36 did a Chatsworth football game, and on the team was Mike Moustakis, the great baseball player, but he broke his ankle. So we ended up interviewing him at halftime. He didn't play. In fact, he retired from football after that, and it really hurt him in his baseball, although he's obviously able to overcome it and have a very fine major league career. But we had Moustakis in a football situation here many years ago.
Flag on the play for a horse collar. Second down.
Well, that's good news to have one of them picked up, isn't it?
Well, thank you, refs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike Good.
Let him play, ref. Let him play.
And again, Mike Good's in the middle of all this. He's not making all these calls. He's just reporting them. They come to him with the penalties.
You know what Caesar did to the messenger.
Yeah. So it's second down and still about 10 to go. Clock you can see running, 11 and a half minutes
They
left.
got to stuff the box here. El Camino's got to put 8 people up there.
11 and a half minutes separate El Camino from its 4th straight road win. That's not easy to do. Ramo. There he goes again. First down yardage and a lot more for Isaiah.
This is smash mouth football at its best.
This is last year's 33-30 game.
Just watch this. This guy just puts it there, and he's outside off tackle, and he's got 270-pound linemen ahead of him.
There's some exceptional blocking going on for Chatsworth.
They're doing a fine job up front, I'll tell you that.
Marvin Street's a great coach. He does a terrific job with this football team, and there's another one that's blown dead.
Prior to the snap, encroachment, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Oh, Jason Zabalik is not going to be in a good mood, no matter how this turns out for El Camino. I have him for 16 penalties. That's a lot. That is a whole lot of infractions. And because of it, Chatsworth and Ramo score. Isaiah Ramo. Still plenty of time for the Chancellors.
This is just unbelievable beat-em-up football.
Was an old school guy. You gotta love this.
I tell you, it's just enjoyable to see this. I'm stunned that El Camino can't stop them. They're not executing, and Chatsworth has taken control of the line of scrimmage. They have absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage.
Oh, this has been an adventure. And it's another adventure as its kick is blocked. And now it remains a 2-score game. That's a big miss.
This is I'm just enjoying watching these guys. Just look at the blocks. Just look how they're just making a hole for this guy.
I love Ramo. Again, he's not blistering in terms of speed, but he's powerful.
But you had Monroy out in front of him, a 270-pound offensive lineman, just carving holes for this man. It is fun to watch. When you see that, it's just try to stop me. We dare you.
If you're Chatsworth, you look back at those, a muff punt, a strip on a kick return, they're thinking, hey, they should be leading in the game.
They should. Again, it's just mistakes by El Camino. I'm surprised El Camino's even in the game still with the mistakes they've made. It's just not.
Well, they've been able to overcome a lot of them with big plays on offense of their own.
But the penalties are just destroyed whatever momentum they had.
Yeah, unofficially.
Onside kick here. Look out.
Unofficially, I got him for 16 infractions.
Nope.
They kick it deep. Still early. There's over 10 minutes to play in the game. Fouls. And we know what he can do. He's got 3 scores tonight. A cloud of dust. I really like Drayden Fowles. He's not only a terrific running back, I love his demeanor. He just plays football with a smile on his face. Good young kid.
Yes, he's a talented young man.
El Camino's really needed him tonight, haven't they? You're just laughing up here because it's such an odd game.
I'm just thinking about how Chatsworth just controlled the line of scrimmage.
Huskies. How about my Huskies? They're 6-1 now, huh? 34-24 over Chavez. We had Scott Fair on our SoCal Prep Report last night, the head coach of the Huskies. He said, hey, we're a small team. Chavez has got big guys. It won't be easy. He was right, but they won by 10. This went into the flat and running room for Tovin, and they finally drag him down. Lopez got him from behind, that brilliant middle linebacker, Ramel Lopez. And a flag And I think they picked that one up. That might have been just a shoe. We're starting to see flags out there.
Yep, they're just popping up everywhere.
There is no penalty on this play. But watch this play by Lopez, 27, again running.
But again, Tovin
Sideline
not to
to
be denied. Tovin just kept driving forward.
No, that was two competitors doing their thing.
Yep, I agree. Again, when you see runners like that and they just keep driving their feet, it is fun to watch.
Ball at the 48-yard line of Chatsworth. Now we're going to get a penalty flag.
False start.
17 and counting.
Offense. 5 yards. First down.
This is, again, the receiver checks with the referee, and the referee still calls him offside. He says, yes, you're okay, and then he still calls him offside to look like. Something's not right. Something's not right.
It's a full moon.
Just like the
These
refs,
things happen when there's a full
just
moon.
like last week with the refs made that 1st and 20 call. It's just something's just not computing.
Well, that was a mistake. I talked to Mike Good about that, and he admitted to me that's just not right. That's an incorrect call. Here's another one to Tovin, going back, catching it and coming around, and there he goes. Another first down run for Sam Tovin, and once again, Ramel Lopez tackled him, but he got there late. Tovin has the first down.
As with El Camino, there is no contain on the outside with Chatsworth. We said that earlier in the beginning of the game. They have not been able to adjust that outside off-tackle stuff, and this is why Tovin has nobody giving him any pressure on the outside.
Ball at the 33-yard line of the Chancellors. Touchdown here would make it mighty difficult for Chatsworth to come back. Not impossible, but it certainly would put ECR in great shape. Delayed handoff. Little counter action, and with the ball is Devin Howard. And a nice chunk on first down.
And you got running backs going different directions, which gives the linebackers a difficult read. They lose their keys, and you got different people going different directions.
Well, even though the defense of El Camino has been pushed around in the second half, you have to love the offensive response.
Yeah, well, that's where their talent is right now. It's definitely offense.
Makes for entertaining football.
The more points you get, the more exciting it becomes.
Well, their last two games have been almost identical. The Narbonne was, 32-22, and then Cleveland 32-20. Very similar games. And this one is somewhat like those two. Second down call, and Hall to the air. Overshot Shirley. Coverage from Ricardo Rodriguez.
And Shirley, they're now watching him. He's running that little hitch out, and they're coming up on him. He's got to be able to run inside underneath and get where the middle linebacker was and replace. And if he does that, he'll be wide open. But he's not open out here because they see he's in the slot.
Okay, you're looking at third down here in a short 5. You want to see him run it here? Maybe 2 downs to pick up the 5 yards?
You pitch power. This is what's worked. You just go off tackle, and you continue to do what you do best. And that's a play that they're able to execute very well.
Third down play. Chatsworth desperately needs a defensive stop. Hall waggling and looking to run or throw. It's deflected. Incomplete. Was it picked off? It was on the carom. They're excited here. DJ Jade Simi got the pick. It was deflected to the near side, and somehow JD got the football.
Why did Coach Hayashida call that? I don't know. That is just a surprise to me. They're making yardage on the run, and you just change it up. It doesn't compute.
Well, Chatsworth gets a stop, and they had to have it. 7.5 minutes to play. There's still time for the Chancellors. They're down 9. Let's look at this pick by DJ.
I don't know how that happened.
See, it's punched into the air. Big scramble. Looks like an incompletion, and somehow he caught it on the sideline. And you know what they're going to do? Ramo is on his way again, running over everybody.
I just don't understand why El Camino can't stop that. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult.
Well, you got to load the box and know that 28's going to get it. The only other option has been the quarterback running the ball. And they're going quick in the run game.
They got no outside contain. Watch the lineman pull again.
Now Marvin Street's upset about something. I don't think either official's happy. These coaches are not happy with these officials. But how about this effort by this powerful running back,
Look
Ramo?
at the gap that's there. That's what's stunning. The gap that these two linemen are creating. It's just, you and I could run through that, Randy.
Well, you could.
No, you and me.
Timeout. El Camino.
Well, Jason Zabal takes a timeout to try to get his team together and somehow rally the troops defensively. This game is really starting to look like last year's game. And when Chatsworth scored 33 points a year ago, they got 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. So in some ways, they've been more explosive offensively tonight. What an odd one. It is a full moon, so I guess we should have expected that.
The defensive linemen have to trail those pulling tackles and guards and just get into their legs. If you have to, you do the old crab. You don't let them pull, and you don't let them get that gap open. And if you just see it, you'll watch it here. You'll see those linemen pull, and it's just wide open.
Well, 28 is the guy that lines up in their I formation. And they pitch it back to him. And Justin Edwards filters through and makes the stop. Sam Tobin was there as well. But 34 made the play.
There were 9 people in the box, finally.
How about that play by Edwards? He got to the point of attack in a hurry. See that clock going inside of 6 minutes. El Camino Real by 9.
We got to do the same thing here.
They put it on the ground again. Ramo on that pitch was able to get back on it. El Camino didn't stop him that time. He stopped himself.
Yep. That's what will happen if they're going to stop him. It's going to be Chatsworth mistakes. Again, just look at the lineman. You see the lineman pulling? It just gives it away. And in 77, Monroy gets out to the second level. I mean, that's great offensive line play from an offensive lineman.
3rd down and 12, and they run it on 3rd and 12. Harris trying to wrap up the big fellow, Isaiah Ramo. Did a pretty good job of throwing him to the turf. And it's 4th down. That tells you the mentality of Chatsworth. On 3rd and 12, they're running the ball.
And they're going to go 4th and 12. And they're going to run. I mean, they're probably going to keep the ball here and just pitch it again. El Camino's got to put 11 people up there if they need to. And they got to be able to take the feet out of those pulling guards and tackles.
Chatsworth takes the timeout. It's 4th down and between 7 and 8 yards to go.
This is great high school football.
You're loving it now.
Now, the referees need to let them play, and they'll play well. You could call a penalty almost every play in football if you really want to be punitive. And you've seen that tonight. The referees took control of this game and took it out of the hands of the players, in my opinion. Just let them play. Unless it's an egregious foul that's so obvious that people in the stands see it. Otherwise, it's just a judgment call, and you're going to get challenged on it.
Well, speaking of challenges, this is a challenge for Chatsworth. They have a 4th down between 7 and 8 yards to go. It's homecoming, everybody in a festive mood. But if they don't convert here, they're in deep trouble. If they get the conversion, they're still in the hunt. There's Marvin Street. trying to get his guys on the same page. Eagle Rock coming back. That's not a surprise. They got upset by Franklin. It was a mild upset a week ago, so they were a big favorite over Wilson. So that's what we expected in the Northern League. Here's the play. 4th down. It's a big play. The pitch back on 4th and 7. He's got the yardage. There he goes, Isaiah Ramo. They just cannot stop him.
Everybody in the stands knew what they were going to do, except the defensive coordinator for El Camino. That's an obvious call.
Again, give Chatsworth credit. You talked about that offensive line blowing them out of there.
And again, they're not. The defensive line is doing nothing to stop it.
Ramo powering his way downfield. Now, the one positive for El Camino is it's eating up the clock. 5:15 to play. But Chatsworth still has a chance here if they can quickly get the ball in the end zone.
They're going to score and then onside kick, and they could get it back. El Camino is on their heels.
Ramo bouncing outside. 1st down yardage inside the 20. Harris ran him down. Chancellor's got to play quickly, though. The clock's not their friend. Inside of 5 to play. They have Ramel Lopez up in front of Ramo as a blocking back. He puts the ball on the ground again. El Camino Real football. So Chatsworth has turned it over. We have a late flag, and they're going at it. Tempers are very short here. It's been a frustrating night with these penalties, and these players are not happy about it. El Camino recovered the fumble, and then there was a foul after the play.
Hold on, relax. Dead ball, personal foul, number 65 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Well, this one is on Chatsworth, on Daniel Santana. Problem here for Ramo. He put it on the ground twice on that drive, and that one he didn't get back.
Again, we said that if they stop themselves or if they keep doing it, the only way they're going to be beaten is by beating themselves, and this is an example of it.
You remember the old slogan, "We have conquered the enemy,
and
the enemy is us."
Yeah.
Yes.
These were all these historical quotes tonight, Caesar and Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And
well, we've had to pull something out of the hat. This has been a wacky evening.
This is
the big winner's the full moon tonight.
The great football, though, with watching these kids just go at it.
At times, there's been some really good football in between the hankies.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's just beyond literally the pale, as they would say. Whatever cliche we could use about it.
1st and 10, ECR. And Howard spinning for good yardage. And again, neither team can stop one another. 15 yards and a 1st down for Devin Howard.
Hold on to the football, El Camino. Don't make that mistake. They're in
pretty good shape here, though. They got the ball, the lead, and I think that turnover against Chatsworth really deflated the Chancellors. That one was a tough one for this host team. 1st down, El Camino, and again, they're in no hurry. Clock approaching 4 minutes to play. 28-19 Elko. You know, we also got to commend El Camino from this perspective. They're playing every game on the road, and that is not easy to do. This is 4 straight wins on the road.
Yes. Well, it ain't over yet.
No, I know that, but they're in great shape. It's sensational to do something like that on the road. Although the flags are not sensational, this will be their 18th penalty.
This line judge is just this guy's thrown more penalty flags tonight than anybody tonight. And he's the one the receivers check with. Am I offsides? Yes, you're fine. Then they still flag him. I don't get it. It's hard to accept that.
Well, Chatsworth had 5 penalties in the second half. El Camino's had 7 more, so we had 12 penalties combined in the second half.
Who's ever keeping the stats on this are going to see almost 200 yards of penalties on El Camino. 200 yards is unbelievable in any football game, and it's just almost like unheard of.
But yet it looks like they're going to get out of here with a win.
Maybe. We'll see.
Boy, you're really holding on to that. You don't think this one's over yet, do
I
you?
don't. It ain't over till it's over, as they say.
Don't be yogi on me. Don't yogi me. 1st and 15. Hall looking to throw the ball. That's a good catch by Tovin at the 50-yard line. A little surprising that they threw the ball.
Yeah,
they were successful.
I agree. Well, then you're a genius, right?
Well,
you're a goat or a genius. If it works, you're great. If not, it's not going to be so good.
You really think I'm a genius?
You are.
Appreciate that.
You are the talent.
Well, that picked up a nice bit of yardage. Got 10. They needed 15, so it's 2nd and 5. I like the way Hall is maturing as a quarterback. Howard can't stretch the play. That's good defense on the edge. Ankle tackle by Ricardo Rodriguez, and Chatsworth stops the clock. Will bring up a 3rd down for El Camino. Both teams have 1 timeout remaining.
You know, we can say this publicly. It was a pleasure hearing the Chatsworth crowd recognizing you tonight, Randy, and they announced LA36 and you, the celebrity talent. I think it's great.
Well, thank you. And thank
absolutely
to Jonathan Sheriff, the athletic director here, who had some kind words.
And you got a great applause. I just thought I'd share that with the audience because you're so humble you wouldn't say anything about it.
Well, thank you. Well, here's a humbling experience whenever you see those scores on St. John Bosco, Mater Dei. I picked St. John Bosco, but this is a game that, 2 great football teams go either way. Mater Dei still ahead as they pulled ahead again 10-7. They led early 7-0. Boy, those teams really battle, don't they?
They
Mater
do.
Dei and St. John Bosco.
I just don't know where they get that talent.
They get it from everywhere.
Those kids come from, unbelievable.
Well, Chatsworth has to make this stop on 3rd and 5, one would imagine. 7'8's a big young man, isn't he, Stephen? Alcazar.
300 plus.
370.
That's what I was talking about earlier. He's one of those linemen that just keeps El Camino on their heels.
But he moves well for his size.
He does.
3rd down. Trying to set up the screen to Howard. And Alcazar and company are right there waiting for him, and Chatsworth got the stop.
Yep, they did.
There's that big fella, 78. He's the one that chased him down.
Yeah, he does have some moves.
And El Camino's going to be forced to punt here.
They gotta make sure they get the snap. This is always an adventure with El Camino.
Well, that one missed extra point, you can see how the big fellow was able to disrupt the play. But that missed extra point by Chatsworth makes it really difficult.
I thought they missed 2.
No, but the last one.
Oh,
they
yeah.
cut it to 8.
Yeah.
It would have been a different game. Well, Alcazar, he goes both ways. He's a physical kid. Obviously has great size. Him and Monroy always want to get better. They're team guys. And really, for a very young football team, Chatsworth has showed flashes tonight.
They're going to get better.
And Marvin Street, he talks about not being an X's and O's guy. He talks about being a life coach. And these kids really respond to this guy. They really like him. And I still can't believe he picked up a penalty.
Yeah, I'm real curious as to what that was.
He's so mild-mannered.
They usually give them a warning first, a sideline warning or something first, but they didn't this time. They just called it.
All right, here's the punt.
We need a long snap here.
You come after it if you're Chatsworth, try to get the block, or do you go peel back for a return? They don't have anyone back, so it looks like they're going to go after the block.
Sure. And this is not Elko's finest moment. Oh, they gave him the ball. What is that?
Oh, I'm not sure. Not throwing deep. Incomplete.
Was that fourth down that we missed?
Well, it had third down on the marker, but it might have been fourth down. It is high school, and it's been a wacky night. And the ball game still hanging in the balance. Exactly 3 minutes to play. I didn't see a fumble.
I didn't.
But you and I were conversing so much we might have missed something.
I was giving you the props that you'd earned tonight, son.
These two Howard kids, the brothers, Devin and Donovan, are really good players. Donovan on defense, 22. Got a handle on the big fellow, Isaiah Ramo. Well, he's toted the football a lot tonight. He's if he was in the NFL, you'd say he'd earned his pay. He has really gotten the pigskin a lot. Again, the quarterback handled it. Not. And we're going to get a timeout, I believe, called, and it is so indicated by Chatsworth. That should be their final timeout of the game, and is. Down to just 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. El Camino is still in great shape here because they lead by 9. But there's been some rocky play here by El Camino. There's been great play and some play that they need to clean up.
I'll tell you, watching Chatsworth offensive line is just takes me back a lot of years to just see that just rocking, as they say, rockin' sock'em football.
El Camino also plays long football games. They play 3-hour games. We're just about 3 hours in this one. Of course, we had an injury delay.
Yeah.
And again, we should reiterate that the young man who broke his ankle was Anthony Hernandez, and we wish him the best going forward.
El Camino has a lot of work to do on defense, because you're going to see Granada Hills run that stuff. You're going to see Birmingham do the same thing.
You're going to see it next week from Taft, and we're going to have the game on the air from Cleveland High School. We're back at Cleveland High. Yeah. I bet you didn't think a couple weeks ago we'd be going back to Cleveland.
Press box.
Nice press box. So next Friday night we'll be on from Cleveland. That's actually an El Camino home game against Taft. Ramo, and they got him.
They loaded the box again. That's what they needed to do.
That was a fourth down play, and it goes over on downs. So the El Camino defense gets a stop. Chatsworth cannot stop it. So on homecoming night, Chatsworth's going to fall short. Elko's going to go to 4-3. More importantly, 2-0 in the West Valley. And as Jason Zabalik stated before the game, they control their own destiny.
Barely.
They'll be an underdog, not against Taft, but when they get to Granada Hills and Birmingham to finish up the season, they will be the dog there. But how about this guy? He played a tremendous game. Isaiah Ramo.
You just saw a preview of what Granada Hills and Birmingham will do with El Camino's defense by watching number 28. They just need to be able to stop that pitch. I'm hoping they don't throw the ball.
I don't think they will. Fouls. Just want to preach ball security here. Of course, Dre Donna has 3 rushing touchdowns all in the first half. Again, Chatsworth can't stop it, so that clock, as you see, down to 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Mater Dei has scored again. Okay, 17-7. So it looks good for the Monarchs there. Again, a lot of people think they'll meet again in the CIF Southern Section Final, and that wouldn't be a shock. Thank the guys in the truck for that update. Been a crazy night for them, too, huh? Remind me not to do games on nights when it's a full moon.
Again, why is this ref making that call?
He's made it all night.
Offense.
Just let him play, gentlemen. Let him play.
5-yard penalty, still second down.
They're trying to get to 20. I have them for 19 penalties.
Let them play. Good grief. It is always disappointing to see the game about referees and not about the players.
Fouls is hurled back.
And it's an outside run for a...
Again, Chatsworth has no timeouts left, so El Camino can take as much time as they want. Let's run one more, and we'll be near the end. Chatsworth, well, they're going to lose their 4th straight, but you got to love their effort from their young guys. Their offensive line, 78, was very, very good tonight. That's Alcazar. So was John Monroy.
Monroy was impressive because he got to the second level as an offensive lineman. That's what you coach. You want them to get to the linebackers, to get to the next level and be able to make a play. And you saw how that had made a major effect on how Chatsworth moved the football.
Alcazar's a senior, but Monroy is only a sophomore, so he's going to be around Chatsworth for a couple more years. Quick hitter in the middle. That opens up. Nice run downfield. Ermita showing his strength and power.
Again, he just puts his head down and he just goes.
That's going to do it. They don't have to snap it anymore. We're down to 15 seconds left. So El Camino's going to win it 28-19. The good news is Foles had 3 touchdowns. They made some big plays on offense. They forced some turnovers. The bad news, nearly 20 penalties and a lot of real estate to clean up. And the best news is El Camino Real has improved to 4-3, 2-0 in the West Valley. They were number 12 in the LA City poll last week. We'll see where they end up this week. And for Chatsworth, they fall to 2-5 and 0-2 in the West Valley. Some highlights. Paul, take us through these.
This is, you know, when you look at Javen Hall and he just has the ability to break it. He's a threat from any part of the field. He's got the legs, and I call him the 12th man. And then, of course, Devin Howard. You can talk about his skills and his abilities all night, and he'll make big plays for you. And then Mr. Tovin, another exceptional run, another opportunity. You just look at these talented athletes, and you give them all the credit.
Well, El Camino able to hold off Chatsworth.
And Ramo just taking it and just barreling forward with that offensive line. Had they started doing that earlier in the evening, you might have had a different outcome.
You know, Ramo is a junior, and you got to think that give him a little bit of help. And with some of those guys coming back up front, he has the opportunity to be an all-city running back.
He could. I mean, again, against that, with that offensive line, and if they just continue to do that, he'll develop and be very, very, very capable, very talented.
A lot of highlights tonight. And here's one that was tipped up, and DJ got his interception. Number 2 ended up picking it off, and for the moment giving Chatsworth some life. But that was the end. They couldn't score again. And El Camino and Jason Zabala
looks like he's laying down the law.
He is. I mean, he needs to, and they're lucky they got to win tonight. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. The reality is he's got a lot of work to do with his defense, and he's got a lot of work to do with discipline with the players.
And the reality is he doesn't have to walk home.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Had he lost, he would have been out on DeSoto on his way home.
He promised that, right?
Thank our guys on the truck for a job well done. For Paul Zabalik, I'm Randy Roosevelt. El Camino wins again. Wasn't easy. It was weird, though. They win at 28-19. Remind you, SoCal Prep Report next Thursday at 9, the next Friday at 7 o'clock from Cleveland. El Camino and Taft on our air. We'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.